Well, I would say that synchronized AI is the game changer for me. When you have half your cows calved there in a fortnight and they're going out to grass, and that leaves room then to buy in dairy-bred calves. The workload is streamlined. It leaves you with more calving pens freed up to rear calves in. So that's one of the biggest technologies.
Hello and welcome to the Beef Edge, the Teagasc Beef Podcast, for all your latest news, information and advice for Irish beef farmers. I'm Catherine Egan, and on this week's episode, I'm joined by future beef programme farmer John Dunne from Co.Offaly to get an update on his suckler beef and dairy beef finishing system, preparing for silage and the upcoming National Beef Opening Day taking place on the 5th of June. John, can you give listeners an overview of your farm system?
I'm farming here in Portarlington with my son James. We're farming in a new partnership. So James qualified last year in Ag Science, and he's currently doing a graduate programme with Tirlawn in Kilkenny. So he's juggling off-farm work with helping out on the farm. So our farm enterprise is mainly the production of beef. So we produce 200 cattle at 2 years of age, and we try to have those cattle as heavy as possible and produce them as efficiently as possible. And there are lots of different areas there to try and achieve that. But our farm has 3 different enterprises, which all complement one another in the production of this beef. So the first enterprise will be the suckler cow herd, spring calving suckler herd, around 75 cows, thereabouts. And we also produce, the second enterprise then is dairy-bred beef, where we buy in about 140 dairy-bred calves and rear them. And the third enterprise on the farm is a grain enterprise, which works well on the farm. So the 3 enterprises complement one another fairly well. The grain, for example, we keep the grain on farm, and it's forms the basis of our ration to feed the cattle. The straw is used for bedding and for feeding dairy-bred calves, and also the suckler cows. They get a bale of straw every day in the diet. And then the grain is the tillage ground is rotated around the farm, which helps to keep grass fresh. So we're always doing a bit of reseeding when we have a grain enterprise. We also grow some fodder rape in the autumn, in the stubbles. It's never really a great crop, but it finds a formation for outwintering dairy-bred calves, and we put on bale silage out in the fodder rape, and we're able to keep some cattle outwintered on that. So then in the autumn time of the year, the dairy-bred calves and the suckler-bred calves, they're farmed together, and they go to an out-farm then the following spring, and where the summer grazed, and then they're brought back to the sheds then for wintering and for finishing, and we sell them then in the spring as either finished cattle or forward stores, depending on their condition and depending on market price and so on and so forth. So that's our enterprise in a nutshell, Catherine.
And having the 3 enterprises, as you mentioned there, John, they really complement each other. What led you to combine the suckler beef enterprise with the dairy calf to beef enterprise?
Okay, yeah, good question. So, Catherine, before we had the dairy-bred enterprise on the farm, we had sheep. Sheep run this farm for 100 years, and but really we're beside the town and we're having trouble with the sheep. And as our cattle numbers were growing, the sheep were getting less attention, and numbers were dwindling. So we decided to cut up the sheep and try the dairy-bred calves instead. And we found the work much better. The workload was more streamlined, and you don't have to shear them and you don't have to pare their feet. So we just found the dairy-bred enterprise much more suited to our farm, and it's been expanding there over the past 10 or 15 years, and we're very happy with it. So, and then you see, we don't have all our eggs in the one basket. So this year, for example, dairy-bred calves are quite expensive, but we have our suckler calves there too, coming on, which we didn't have to buy in every calf in the place. And then other years, maybe you might have fertility issues with the cows, and you mightn't have as many calves as you might like to have. so you can bump up the calf numbers that you buy in. So one system complements the other, and we haven't all our eggs in the one basket. So we're very happy with it, but just we have to try and improve on it every year.
Most definitely, John. And as you mentioned there, the breeding season and fertility issues, you've used synchronization AI program on the farm this year. How did that evolve, or how are you finding it?
Yes, okay. We're very happy with synchronizing and AI. Back 4 or 5 years ago, we had fertility problems on the farm. We had fertility problems with bulls, and took us a while to identify what the problems were, and our calf numbers dropped. And really, it's so important to fertility test your bulls. It's bad enough having a bull that's totally infertile, but a subfertile bull does a lot more harm because he can survive on the farm for a couple of years before he's detected. And so we found we had to do something to try and grapple with the problems that we had on the farm. And we had 3 bulls on the farm, so we reduced it to 2 bulls and an Angus bull for heifers and a terminal Charolais bull. And we got rid of a cemental bull, which we had for breeding replacements. And we switched to synchronizing cows, and we just go for replacement heifers. So we were looking for more milk in the herd. We've an issue with not enough milk, so we're breeding with bulls, cemental bulls, which have good milk figures. And I like the cemental cow. I like the cemental Charolais cross cow is what I really like. A little bit of size, but cow has to have good milk. And so we found that we're in a better place now by, again, not depending on the bull, which we have by using AI. We have top quality genetics by using AI and synchronizing. We're able to have a lot of the calves calved early in the season. So we'll have calves, a lot of calves born here in the first half of February. Those heifer calves have a much better chance of going to be replacement heifers. They have an extra 2 months growing over a calf that's born in April, and better chance of meeting their 390, 400 kilo target weight for breeding at 15 months. So yeah, look, we find synchronization. It's a key part of our farm management now, and we'll be doing it now for a good few years to come.
That's great, John. And I suppose, like many farmers, grass growth on farm at the moment is variable depending on where you are in the country. How is grass on the farm at the moment, and what's your plan for silage this year?
Yes, well, grazing ground has been very tight for the past month, and we've actually had to move in and graze some of the silage fields as well. And we're actually cutting silage at the moment now, so we hope to have that tidied up this week. And so our red clover has been harvested maybe about 3 weeks ago, and we have slurry back out on that. And then we went straight into our first good silage. So I'd say grass has been tight. It's been a difficult spring for grass. We went straight from rain into not great growing conditions. With no great heat, with no great burst of grass this year. So regrowths were very slow. But that's just the kind of year that it has been. And so we hope that with this fine weather that we have now, that there will be a burst of grass, and that cattle will be more content, and that we won't have to be taking management measures to try and supplement cattle, because goes against the grain to be doing that.
Most definitely. And silage quality is a big component of your system. The fact you have so many weanings coming in, over 70 weanings, and in the dairy beef stock, silage quality is really paramount in your farm system.
Well, it is, and I mean, we're a week late cutting silage. We should have been at it last week, but that was the weather that was there. And but however, the thing is to get it inside. The grass that's going in now it's a great quality. From a dry matter point of view, it should be very easy to ensile, and it should be good quality, albeit a week late being cut. You can see some of the grass heading out, and but yeah, look, I mean, it'll be okay. Better to wait for the week and get the fine weather rather than waiting for a week and it's still raining, so we'll be thankful for that. But like, I suppose there's a bit of extra bulk there, which wouldn't be there had we cut a week earlier. But that's just the year that's in it. There's very little that you can do at this stage. It's out of your control. You're down to the weather, and really the management is in late February and getting the fields closed up on time and getting manure up on time. That's when the management issue is. This time of the year, you're in the lap of the gods.
Most definitely, John, that's for sure. I suppose the big issue this time now is taking it out this week rather than waiting another week or two for crops to further bulk up or further delay, and then you're impacting the silage quality further on. You mentioned there the dairy beef system. Can you just talk through the management of the calves, once they arrive on farm, how they're managed up to weaning, and I suppose at the moment being transitioned to grass?
When we buy in the calves, first of all, we buy them off local farmers within half an hour's drive away from here, and we find that very good. We had to drop one farmer this year because his calves weren't up to scratch, and didn't think I was going to be able to replace the farmer that I dropped. And we went to the mart one day and bought a few calves just to try that system. And so out of 140 calves, we lost one calf, and the one calf that we lost was a dealer's calf out of the mart. Not even a farmer's calf. And it just goes to show, like, you have to be very careful. Buy calves off local farmers if you can. They're worth a lot more, and know where they come from and know how they're being treated. That's the first thing. The second thing we do is we pen them in small groups, and I still insist on feeding calves the old way. I have my milk trolley there. I mix the milk and I feed each pen individually, and I wait until they have their milk drank. I don't allow one calf to bully another. The 12 feeder calf feeder is compartmentalized, so each calf gets his own amount, and I'm also watching the health of the calf. The other tool that I have with me is my thermometer. Any calf that doesn't drink gets his temperature taken there and then, and if needs treatment, it gets it there and then. That's critical with calf rearing, and the human eye is so important there. It takes me a long time to feed calves. It's 2 hours in the morning, it's 2 hours in the evening, but it's time very well spent. The other thing is a good bed of straw under them is so important when they're young. You can tolerate a little bit more at this time of the year, but when they're young, they need a good bed of straw. Cheap investment, best investment. We vaccinate for IBR and pneumonia. We're doing it a little bit different this year. So the IBR vaccine is the same, Bovillus IBR, but we switched to a different vaccine, Risfaval, which was a one-off vaccine. Doesn't cover as much, but our problem is you're buying in calves over the space of a month or 6 weeks, and you are, and your own calves are being born at the farm at the same time. Very hard to give a vaccine and then a booster at the right time. So by giving a single vaccine, albeit not as good, at least they're covered for most of the different virus. And then when I have them all bought in, I'm going to go back now and start the Bovillus IBR program and vaccinate everything again and give them the booster shot then in a month's time. So that way I know everything is covered. Pneumonia is a big problem on the farm here. Pneumonia has to be watched. You can have an outbreak with pneumonia and your calves can drop like flies. So that has to be watched at all times. That's my biggest problem. So after that, weaning is taking place at the moment. We've half the calves weaned fully out on grass and they're eating about 1.5 kilos of ration a day. Most important to watch those calves every day as well, or twice a day, really, because you think that they're going up to grass and you think they're grand now and they're looked after, we're finished with them, and that's when you make a slip up very fast. It's very important to watch the calves twice a day. The calves, I have 60 calves that are still on milk once a day, and they have access now at the moment out to a paddock, and they're all lying down in the shade now this morning, and they are quite content. I have about another 15 bags of milk left, and I'm contemplating, do I wean them now fast and be finished with them, or do I just use up the 15 bags of milk? That's my debate at the moment. At the moment, I'm giving them a bag of milk a day, once a day, 60 calves, and might continue that now for another fortnight. Because there are a few small calves there that look a bit thin, and I want to give them every possible chance now. And that, those few bags of milk could be very cheap, So, but they are really starting to eat the meal. When you reduce calves from twice a day feeding to once a day feeding, it really boosts their meal consumption, and that's a good thing. So it's important to wean them gradually, and have them eating the right amount of meal before you take them off milk altogether.
Most definitely that 1.5 kilos that you mentioned there, John, that's making a huge difference. Is there a weight target then that you're looking at those calves reaching before that they're weaned?
That's really weight. I mean, don't get me wrong, weight is important, of course it is, but body condition is also important, and the health of the calf and the vigor, they're important as well. But I mean, you're expecting your calf to be kind of, touching the 100 kilo mark. But I think that, just the condition of the calf will tell you when it's ready to be weaned, good strong calf, thing to be getting them off milk.
Are there any technologies or tools that you've seen on the farm that have made a huge difference to the farm, be it for the dairy beef system or the suckler system?
Well, I would say that the synchronized AI is the game changer for me. That's the big game changer. I mean, when you have half your cows calved there in a fortnight and they're going out to grass, and that leaves room then to buy in dairy bred calves. Your the workload is streamlined. The those cows are going out, and it leaves you with more calving pens freed up to rear calves in. So that's one of the biggest technologies that there are lots of other technologies, don't get me wrong. I mean, clover is red clover is a fantastic crop to grow. Last year we fed our weanlings that were out wintered, they were wintered on red clover, and it was like rocket fuel. They never wasted and bladed that grass, and was very happy with that. And it's okay. We are using less nitrogen. That field is getting no nitrogen. It is getting more than its fair share of slurry. So is that depriving other parts of the farm of slurry? I'm not too sure. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But definitely, red clover silage is an excellent crop and an excellent feed. So look, there are other technologies that we're using. Dribble bar behind the slurry tanker, we find that very effective as well. And apart from the whole nitrates thing, it's great to get the slurry down onto the ground rather than out across the leaf cover. And we've never used anything else since we got the dribble bar, and I wouldn't dream of going back to a splash plate. So again, there's a few technologies that we have. I'm sure there are others.
No, that's very good, John. Thanks very much. The farm also borders the River Barrow catchment area. As a result of the farm having a river, what are the key measures that you're adopting on the farm?
It's lovely to have a river. It's a great amenity to have there, but sometimes it's a curse as well. But it's a fantastic barrier. I have 6,000 neighbours across the river, and I thank God I get out with them all. But thank God the river's there to keep us apart. So that's a plus. We have electric fence up 1.5 meters out from the river bank, and that creates a lovely corridor for wildlife. And it also creates a buffer zone for any nutrients that are heading towards the river. That buffer zone is able to soak them up. So we think it's doing a good job on keeping the water as clean as it enters our farm. Have it that clean when it's leaving our farm. So it's a good job. We're also in the EAP area, and we're utilising some measures there. So we have a new water pump, a solar water pump, which we're hoping to install, have it installed for the farm walk, and that's going to supply the farm with water. It's a bit of a waste feeding cattle water off the mains. Water is treated with fluoride for human consumption, and you're just feeding it to cattle. It's very expensive, but it's maybe not the right thing to be doing when water from the river is perfectly good enough. So we've reused it. We're doing other technologies. We're putting in some extra drinkers, fencing out drains, which are not part of the acres program, but they are part of an EAP program that we're involved with, and so that will be a help.
You mentioned there, John, you're hosting the National Future Beef Open Day on the farm on Friday, the 5th of June at 6:30 p.m. What can attendees expect to see on the day?
Well, Catherine, what attendees can see, first of all, they're going to see a normal working farm that has the same problems as anybody else, and that we're doing our best to try and resolve those issues. And so they're going to see, we're going to have a display of some of our heifers, some of our breeding heifers, and we're going to, we have some 2-year-old heifers calving at 2 years old, and some others that are calving at 3. So we're going to have a display to see what's the difference and what's the advantage of calving at 2 years versus 3 years. And so that'll be an interesting stand where I think it should provide some good debate. It's not that our stock are excellent or anything like that, but you can see the difference between calving at 2 years and calving at 3 years. So we'll have samples of both there, and that should provide debate. So some of the other things that we'll have a stand down at the river where we'll be able to show some of the EAP actions that we're involved with. And that, again, will provide an interesting topic for some people that are interested in that. And then our suckler herd will be on display. Again, we'll see some of the calves that are born to synchronization and AI, and you can compare them to some that are born to our own stock bulls, and some calves that are born earlier versus the ones that are born later, and how important it is to have as many as possible born early. So that should be shown an interesting topic. And then it's on then to the dairy bred calves, and we'll talk a little bit about them. Hopefully some people will be interested in that. And we have some new grass sown there. Probably won't be good enough to have the dairy bred calves out in that now by the 5th, but growth has been slow there, and I thought it would have calves out there. Now it's not looking like it, but we will have them somewhere nearby. And then, of course, the red clover, we can see how that has progressed since it has been harvested. So we'll be heading for our second cut there sometime in late June. And then it's over to our cattle yard, where we're at the moment, we're building a new cattle handling unit. It's been a long-time ambition of mine to have somewhere decent to handle cattle. The existing cattle handling facility is both dangerous and outdated, and not big enough for the number of cattle that we're handling at the moment. So we're putting in a new unit at the moment. It won't be finished by the time the farm walk takes place, but the bones of it is there. The cattle push is there, the shed, the way cattle will move around, that will be there. It'll be 75% finished. So again, it'll be a good topic for discussion. People might get some ideas over what we're done, and hopefully that will work out well. So yeah, look, there's lots of different things. There'll be lots of different stands. There'll be something for everyone in the beef business. And of course, the event is sponsored by Dunne Meats, which we really appreciate, and thank Dunne for that. And we're looking forward to a good crowd, and hopefully the weather will hold up, and that will be a good discussion. As I said in the beginning, this farm, it's a normal farm, has problems like everybody else, and it's how you go about solving those problems. That's what I hope we'll be better equipped to do that after the farm walk, and hopefully other farmers might find some ideas that might make their farm more efficient, or learn from my mistakes or whatever. So everybody is welcome. Should be a good evening.
Thanks very much, John. I think from the array of topics you mentioned there's definitely something for everyone on the night, and the very best luck. We look forward to seeing everyone the 5th of June at 6:30 p.m. Thanks very much, John.
Thanks for having me on. And as I say, everybody's welcome to our event, and we're looking forward to a good event and a good lively discussion. So everybody's welcome. If you can at all, please make every effort to attend.
That's all for this week's episode, and my thanks to John for joining me on the show. And I'll include all the information in relation to the upcoming farm walk on the 5th of June in the podcast text. You can catch up on all other shows and interviews from the Beef Edge podcast on the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie, or you can listen on Apple as well as Spotify. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe so you never miss a show. For all other updates from our beef programme, keep an eye on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Until next time, I'm Catherine Egan, and thanks for listening.